Well, let's recap that Miami-Florida game a little bit. Miami did win 26-7. I will remind you that I picked 21-10, so I feel like I was decently close.
This
On
isn't
this
horseshoes.
What?
This isn't
Horseshoes?
horseshoes.
I mean, horseshoes, hand grenades, and football games. They're all right the same. I was the closest, and they had a garbage touchdown at the end there, so it would have been even closer if not. But, Will, let me know what you saw. I am so tired of Florida looking unprepared for the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I saw just an offense that is just not good. There's no other way to put it. Like, it's just a really bad offense because second half you had that really one good drive, but that was it. There was really nothing else outside of that one touchdown drive. Just 7 points in the game against anybody. Miami's got a great defense, but with the offense that Florida has, 7 points in a game is just inexcusable.
Well,
And there were a few specific moments that I got like really frustrated with what the play calling was. It was a 3rd and 1 with about 12 minutes left,
Yep.
13-7 at this point. They run Jaden Ball right up the middle. Everybody, and also I think my dog knew it. He texted me afterwards. He knew that play call was coming. Like, just the predictability of the play calling it's really bad. But then on the other end of that, on one of the 4th downs, the play was run up for TJ Abrams, who I think he could be a great player. Yeah, he has not been in the game. Aiden Mizell, he must have been a scratch or something because he didn't have his helmet. But I mean, for whatever reason, like, why is that ball going to TJ Abrams in that spot?
Right.
It's just so
you don't
weird.
trust him during any other part of the game, but you're going to rely on him to essentially continue your hopes of winning. There was another 3rd down where they threw it short of the sticks, which seems to be a common theme with Napier's teams. But I don't understand the concept of we're going to put the ball in a place that even if it's caught, we have to rely on our players to then make a play in addition to the original catch. Like, why are we not drawing them up so that if they do their job, which is catch the ball, they've already gotten the 1st down? It doesn't make any sense to me. That's where I would have maybe taken a shot downfield, honestly. And Will Miles wrote a really great piece that's out today that talks about essentially that, like, sometimes those are not to get the down, it's actually to win the game. And that's what forcing it down, throwing the ball downfield, forcing them to have to defend both fronts can actually help you in the long run. You mentioned that touchdown, though, and Napier even said in his press conference, it was scripted. So, and we didn't this game, but we do tend to do decently well with the scripted plays going into most games. It's usually, the first series and a half, something like that is scripted, and Florida tends to do well. They didn't do well the first series against Miami, but they did coming out of halftime. But again, it was scripted. So it's not like they really actually made adjustments that worked. They scripted a good few plays that did result in a touchdown, but then they reverted back to what we had seen all along. I took some issue with some of the stuff he said in the postgame press conference. I know you all are shocked. But one of the things he said was that the first half was on the offense and the defense, and that the offense couldn't stay on the field, but the defense couldn't get off the field. Did anybody else view it that way?
No. I did not.
TJ, I mean, you watched this game. We were texting each other. You were driving home from Tallahassee, I think, right?
Yeah, and I actually didn't watch the postgame press conference. Interesting note. I was texting Allie about this. Yeah, like Florida hasn't uploaded the last 2, which I get it. But Florida State turned the comments off of theirs last year, which I get that too. But to not even upload it, I'm like driving home, like, come on, man, like, give me something to do. I got an hour to go. And
the writers put out the transcript of it to be able to read it, because shockingly we couldn't find it.
So yeah, I don't know, man. They're just grasping at straws. I mean, he's just grasping at straws. He knows absent like the most miraculous turnaround that we've ever seen in season. Like, I don't even know. He's never been very good at the press conferences. And so certainly don't expect that to just change when they're 1-3 with the gauntlet of a schedule ahead of them, where even Kentucky and Mississippi State look tough now. So I'm not even surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Like, he's always been bad at it. And start out 1-3 and it gets even worse.
It just bothered me because I feel like that's not giving credit where credit is due. That defense was incredibly stout, really until the very end, when I think they were just absolutely toast at that point, and they did, give up some runs to Miami. But
I'll say this too, like not to. I mean, Florida's offense is a complete mess right now, and they're just yeah, they just have no clue which direct. I don't even know if they know which end zone they're heading towards unless you script it. But Miami's defense is probably Miami is really good. Like I think they're the best team in the country right now, and they've certainly been the most impressive team in the country. When you think, well, Ohio State won it last year, sure, but like all they've done is beaten an overrated Texas team and no one else. And so, yeah, I mean, Miami's defensive line to me is the best in the country, which makes everything tough, right? Like if Miami's secondary was just super shut down, then Florida could do other things. But the mix of like Florida's offense being completely lost and Miami's defense maybe being one of their defensive line causing like I will say, like, as much as it pains me, this wasn't all on Florida. Like Miami is really freaking good.
But honestly, I didn't leave that game thinking that they were the best team in the country. Now, I do think that they have the best trenches in the country, and trenches win football games. And so in that aspect, but like I've never been impressed with Carson Beck. I haven't been impressed with Carson Beck when he played for Georgia. I didn't think he was particularly good the other night. We, in our house, there's an adjective, or I guess it's a verb, not an adjective. That there's going to be he's going to back it up at some point. And like, he did. We saw the interception that happened. You knew that was coming. I don't know if I text my brother. I want to say, I was thinking maybe it was you, TJ, but my brother, and said like, somebody better jump these routes, because every one of them is short. They'll get an interception, and then 30 seconds later is when Cormani McLean did that. Like I don't think Miami's offense is overly impressive. I think their offensive line is really good, and I think their tailbacks are good, and so that is helpful. But I don't know. I think Florida's just trash.
Yeah. Miami's offense looked pretty pedestrian. But again, I'm a massive shout out to Florida's defense. I don't know how they keep doing it mentally. Like I don't know how or physically, right? Because what did Miami run like 72 plays and Florida ran like 50 something. So like they were out there a lot more too.
Can you think of the starters that Florida was missing too?
Yeah, 4 guys missing on the defensive line. They lost Johnson right during the game out of the secondary too. Like the fact that Florida's for all the crap we give Billy, like the fact that he still inspires them to play hard and not quit. Because I'm telling you, most teams in the country would have quit in the second half, and Miami would have won that thing by 30. Not even because they were great, but just because the other team's like, screw this, man. The fact that Florida's defense continues to show up, and shoot, I think Florida's defense is top 10 in the country. The problem is their offense is playing like bottom 10 right now. That is really impressive to me, and I think that's why Miami, again, I think Beck has his highs and lows for sure, but that's why I think Miami struggled a little bit, because Florida's defense, and again, credit to them, is really good and, ultimately being wasted right now.
Will, did you see DJ Lagway's comments from after the game?
I did, and that would have been decently inspiring 2 weeks ago after they lost to USF. It feels like empty calories at this point, either you're 1-3. Because after that USF game, it was a lot of just kind of like, random, like, we're going to get back to work, going to be better. Then he kind of gave his speech after this last game, but it feels like it's too late. Like, so, this is fire that I wanted to see earlier.
I'm going to read it to you guys just so you know what we're talking about. He said, "Let me tell y'all something. We're going to get things changed for sure. I guarantee that. I can guarantee that. This is not acceptable at all. I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all and make this seem like this is okay. This isn't okay. We've got to play better football, and it starts with me. I'm the head of it. I'm going to start with it. I'm going to demand greatness from everybody. We're done playing around stuff. It's with the playing around stuff. It's time to get serious, and it starts with me. I've got to set the tempo. I've got to set the tone in practice, in meetings, around the building, everywhere. I know for a fact it's going to change because it's going to start with me." So we've already commented on how Florida's pretty horrific in the PR department. But this does feel like too little too late. I think he was looking for his Tim Tebow moment.
Yeah.
The promise. But such a different set of scenarios going on for this. And I guess at this point, 3 losses in a row in, I'm sitting here saying, why did it take 3 losses for you to stop the playing around stuff, like your words? I don't know. I maybe would have come out after LIU when he really didn't have a good game and said that then. If you lose to USF, I guess maybe it's then you can say it then, right? If you're going to turn it around because you were kind of shell shocked by a team that you shouldn't have lost to, but like at this point, it feels like I don't know, too little, too late. What do you think, TJ?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think kind of the same as the Napier thing. They're just grasping at straws, right? Like trying to say things to keep team, to let to let the fan base know that they're still invested, motivated. All those not rumors, but just kind of like speculation of like, man, would it be better for Lagway to just redshirt, not play the rest of the year? Maybe he's just trying to let people know that he's invested. But again, when there's not good leadership at the top, and that's kind of I'll say like that halfway because I do think Napier does a lot of things really well. When there's not good leadership at the top, obviously, the entire Lagway offseason was mismanaged and mishandled by God knows how many people. But I think he's just trying to say something, and the PR. I don't. It doesn't help anything. It's not going to make make things better. But I mean, I think he's just a young 19-year-old, 20-year-old just trying to make it better. But yeah, I mean, read the room a little bit and just say, man, this sucks. We'll do our best to get better through the bye week. But I also just think like he's just trying to say anything he can. He looks lost on the sideline though. They can't. I mean, I try not to read so much, but like the body language, the sitting there like looking shell shocked. Florida didn't. Their offense didn't even look like they looked like they just had to play. Like they didn't even really care. I mean, the defense again, really really good, but yeah, they're a total mess on that side, and he's unfortunately a big part of it.
Yeah, to your point, TJ, like if he wanted to say that to try and show everybody that they were still invested, they can show that by competing when they're on the football field. Like Herbstreit kind of nailed it on that broadcast, saying how no one on the offense is competing. The defense has those guys, but the offense really has no fire, no instinct. Like that is totally accurate to what's going on right now. So you can say all you want in the post-game presser, but then if you line up against other 11 guys and you can't do anything, it doesn't really mean anything.
Sure.
Chris Doering actually said on SEC Final, I texted him because it was hysterical, but also incredibly accurate. He said Florida's offense has low T. He's like, there's no aggression, there's no fun, there's no emotion, and they can't score. And I mean, accurate. That is like, that's exactly what we're looking at. And I guess Gator fans are wondering, and I know they think the long-term fix is a new coach, and that might very well be what happens in the next few weeks here. But Florida's still got to play football, whether, regardless of who the head coach is. And Billy Napier is the head coach for this Texas game. Like that I'm pretty confident in. So what can they do to turn things around in the next 2 weeks and put a better product on the field?
Pray.
I mean, I really wish I had a better answer than I don't know. But I mean, I think it starts with the defense staying focused because being that unit of the ball, that side of the ball, excuse me. Whoa. But just like with the offense being as poor as it is and the defense playing as good as it is, it feels like it can be really, really hard to keep going out there doing what you're doing every week, knowing that, we have to hold this team to 6 if we want to win. So really it started with the mental war really on both sides. And then just can the offense start getting to 17 points a game? Like, because all you have to do is win at least 3 games so that you don't go 2-10 after Florida State just did. But it's not going to be easy.
I tell you, they got to go against two. Well, Texas A&M's not as good for sure, but with all of Texas's struggles, they've got to go against another really good defensive line. Like Miami's might be the best in the country or top 5 or whatever. Texas is up there too. And I understand playing at home will be a little bit different. They'll be coming off a bye week, all those things. But you thought it was tough to run against Miami. It doesn't get much easier in a couple of weeks. Like Colin Simmons, those guys, like that's still really tough. It lightens up a little bit, I think, when you get to A&M. But if you take another loss to Texas, like where's the mindset? Where have you, like if you couldn't fix it there, are you going to go on the road in Kyle Station and win? So I don't know, man. It's very daunting there. But I mean, you mentioned the defense. Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to run the ball a little bit more. You got to take some pressure off Lagway, and yeah, then all the other things too. He's got to be able to see things better. They've got to call a better game. Wide receivers have to help him out some. There's a million problems, and so you ask, how do you fix it? Well, I don't know, man. You start with the most obvious ones. You got to play defense and run the ball, and that's a tough ask against Texas, right? Yeah, I'm not super worried about Texas offense and them flexing on Sam Houston State, but I do think that if you're not able to run the ball, it doesn't matter how bad Arch is. He'll beat you 17-10, and that's fine. They'll get out with a win. So that is something that I think is, it's going to be a challenge when we preview this game next week. Is, are they able to run the ball at all, and do it with any kind of consistency?
So we've had a lot of discussions in our house with the former player that I'm married to and what he thinks the problem is. And he is convinced that Florida's problems stem from not having competitive enough practices, because he's like, there's 0% chance that they're running plays in games that aren't working in practice. And he's like, and that's also why they look shell shocked that, like, wait, we ran this 15 times last week and it worked every single time. Why is it not working now? And he's like, because the guy on the other side of the line wants to kill you. And if you're not practicing at a higher clip than that, you aren't actually getting reps that are worth a damn. And so he is 100% convinced that that is where Florida's problems stem from, that these things do work in practice. These coaches don't want to lose their jobs. They don't want this to look like a train wreck. And so there's no way they're putting product out that wasn't successful in practice, that they didn't see a positive outcome with in practices. But if all of your practices are half effort, then you aren't getting a true test of whether or not those plays are going to be successful. And I think that's an interesting thought process. And it kind of goes back to last year when Napier said, people were asking him about the turnaround. And he said, well, we made practices competitive, which I know every former player, on Earth's head exploded when that was said, because they should have been competitive always. But that does make me wonder, did we revert back? We thought, like, okay, we got them to understand what it's like, so now we can dial it back a little bit because they've gotten it, they get it, instead of these practices must remain violent, aggressive, competitive for us to have a chance in a violent, aggressive, and competitive game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The only thing that, not to play devil's advocate, but the only thing is, like, you hear like these guys like Pate and stuff go, and when they do like their campus tours, they never mention any of that. They talk about like how it looks like Pate has said back-to-back off seasons, and he obviously, I mean, he's even said like he likes Billy and he wants things to work well for them because he's a good guy and all this stuff. But when he talks about how like inside the facility, it looks like, and I don't know how many practices he's seeing, but he talks about how it looks like a real SEC program. The results aren't there on the field, but Sunday through Friday or whatever, it looks real. And he hasn't gone into like the intensity of practice specifically, so I don't want to put words in his mouth and say that he said that. Yeah. But I would think that if that was a concern of his or something that he was hearing, like, so I don't know, man. I don't know if they just like lose everything once they get there. We had a comment or a question just about Lagway. Again, him not being there obviously is paying, is much worse for Florida than we ever could have imagined it was. So I don't know, man. Like, there's obviously something broken, and I don't think it gets fixed until they replace him at the end of the day.
Yeah, TJ, you brought up Pate. Just one more thing. Like, he was on, I forget what show it was this past week or something, but he really compared Florida to like, it's the week of Thanksgiving. You go out, you get every groceries, you get all this silverware, everything is prepared perfectly, and then all of a sudden, nobody knows how to cook the food. So everything's ruined. He that's how we compared the Florida program. So just, something just seems like fundamentally wrong to where you can do everything right for 6 days, but the second that you have to execute and actually get something done, just nobody's really prepared to do that.
Yeah. On SEC Final, one of the things I want to say was Ben Watson, but had said was that he wasn't sure if it was play calling, communication, or practice, but he was convinced that one of those three things were broken. But buddy, all three of those things fall on one person. Mm-hmm. And that would be, William Napier at the University of Florida. So regardless of what the issue is, whether it's practice, whether it's, communication, whether it's, who knows, intensity, regardless of what it is, that all comes from the top. And that's who's held responsible, particularly in year 4.